My name is Ann Encontre. I'm the Regional Refugee Coordinator for the South Sudan emergency situation that erupted in South Sudan in December 2013. When you have an emergency that is so serious to displace millions of people, as in the case of South Sudan, where countries of asylum have welcomed refugees across the borders, and you have displacement, 1.5 million people who are displaced inside South Sudan itself, it calls for coordination to ensure efficiency in the delivery of any kind of humanitarian assistance, food, water, basic essential services to save lives, so that we ensure that all the resources we have are put to the best use possible and to avoid duplication of efforts. We have had challenges of not having enough food at some points in time. Malnutrition rates were very high, but not because refugees didn't have food when they arrived, but because they had been deprived of food for such long periods of time. We've had to give special care to make sure that the malnutrition was contained. We've had flooding in several of the camp locations. In 2014, we had unusually heavy rains. Kakuma in Uganda and in Ethiopia, in the Gambela region, we had enormous challenges to move not only refugees, but the host communities living side by side with refugees from flooded areas to safer ground. – 70% of the refugees who have sought asylum are children. We have our UN agencies, UNICEF, WFP, and all our partners who have been helping us to make sure that children are in school, children are safe, and that we're accommodating their special needs. You can imagine the trauma of being separated from your families. Not only the families are traumatized, but the children themselves, as young as 7 years and 5 years, without their mothers and their fathers and any of their siblings. So we've been working with ICRC, Save the Children, and other partners in family tracing to try and identify either their siblings or family members who are out of South Sudan, or trying to find their family members inside South Sudan. 91% of the whole refugee population are women and children. And those women who have come by themselves with their families, I can tell you an anecdote. In Gambela, one day we went and we heard a lady, she was crying, oh, she was wailing so hard. She had left Jonglei and she had walked for weeks and weeks. She started out with 5 children and she was breastfeeding one of those babies. When she arrived in Gambela, the only one alive was the one that she was breastfeeding. It was the most sad scene I've seen in a long time. And that is the nature of this crisis. I started working in South Sudan in July the 6th, 2005. It was after the Naivasha peace agreement had been signed in Kenya, and we started the office of UNHCR with 7 staff. We moved forwards with the repatriation of South Sudanese. Many of them were coming back to nothingness because after 23 years of war, there was really a lot to be done. Roads to be built, water to be found, buildings, etc. But they came back in such euphoria, such glee, such anticipation of having their country. And then we had independence in 2011, and the new nation was born, only to be drastically and dramatically pulled asunder a few years later. And I still think that we cannot give up, because it's imperative that we all stand in solidarity with the people of South Sudan, the refugees who are outside and who will go back, and those who are inside, who are displaced, to help them find their lot in life, to help them rebuild their country and live in peace and harmony and enjoy the beautiful South Sudan and all that it has to offer them.